Producer Joe here from the Working Fans Podcast. And at the Working Fans Podcast, this is just a podcast that three lifelong fans created to have a place to talk comedy and pro wrestling. Now, our comedy podcast releases every Tuesday, while our wrestling podcast releases every Thursday. We release bonus episodes under the moniker Working Fans Presents every now and then. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, any major podcast provider. The important thing is just please like, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to us. Now, we have started a new thing. We are now on Amazon and Audible. So those episodes release every Monday. And that's kind of going through the archives and just releasing our old episodes into new areas. So if you want to live through the process with us again, take that journey with us again, you can find us over on Amazon and Audible. Now, if you can't get enough of us in the audio form, check out our YouTube. It's youtube.com/C/Working Fans Wrestling Pod, or just search Working Fans Podcast on YouTube. We have the whole archive is up there. And if you listen to the Working Fans Podcast, you are more than familiar with the 531. That is our signature segment where we take your top 5 list on a particular subject, vote it down to a top 3, and then debate it down to a top 1. Now, guys, if you want to hear 3 guys talk shit about comedy, wrestling, life, anything, you will enjoy the Working Fans Podcast.
It's the Working Fans Comedycast. The man they call Dave is here with the guy you know from the Comedycast, Mr. Chevy. Chevy's here with comedy today, bringing the funny. So we're going to be talking parody, spoof movies. Just to give examples that we're talking about, movies like Austin Powers, Monty Python, Blazing Saddles, which I'm sure we're going to see a lot of those films I just mentioned. You a big fan of this genre?
Oh, absolutely. It's one of my favorite. It was very hard to do a list. I could have done a list of 10. To cut it down to 5 was tough.
All right. If you want to throw an honorable mention in there, we'll let it slide. I'm going to, since me and you are doing this kind of last minute, usually I'll give a bunch of lists to Joe, but I'm so unorganized. So I'm going to hit you like we've been doing in the Comedycast with a bunch of lists. We'll have a little more this time because people love comedy. And you just tell me what you think about some of these people. All right, my buddy Rob, you know him.
Sure do.
He's got Austin Powers, Naked Gun, Top Secret, I'll have to look that up, Blazing Saddles, and Spaceballs. Do you know anything about Top Secret? I don't think I've
never heard of it.
No, I'm curious. I should have done my research on that. Austin Powers, I like Austin Powers. I thought those were really good. Naked Gun. Were you a fan of Naked Gun?
Oh, yeah. What's that actor's name? Leslie
Nielsen.
Leslie. He's great. Yeah. Big fan of him.
Yeah, I think, these are some really good films. I'm sure we're going to see Blazing Saddles and Spaceballs.
I would be shocked if that was on almost all the lists, yeah.
Yeah, and Blazing Saddles, too. Like, talk about a movie you won't be able to do.
Oh, never. No, absolutely not.
In fact, all right, Jesse from New Hampshire's got a list, and we're going to kick things off with Blazing Saddles. Major League, that's a pretty good one. I wasn't a huge baseball fan, but I like that movie. Robin Hood, Men in Tights, Monty Python's The Meaning of Life, and then Tropic Thunder. That's a good one, too. I didn't think about that. A little more current. Yeah.
Meaning of Life instead of Holy Grail. Interesting choice. Wonder how many more of those we'll see.
I bet you not. I don't think that. I mean, I like it, but I think that unless I missed one here. But Tropic Thunder, that might be the only one that made the list too. But I thought Robert Downey Jr. was just excellent, along with Tom Cruise too. A lot of people in this were really good.
Yeah. Tom Cruise is so funny in that at the end when he's just dancing, like the credits are running or whatever. So good.
God. Yeah, he's and like I remember this girl I was dating at the time. Like we're watching this in the movie theater, and I remember like I put it together because I'm like looking at it, I'm listening to that fucking voice. I'm like, why do I know it? I'm like, oh shit, that's Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
She's like, no, and then she's like, wait a minute.
Kelly was the same way. I was watching it with my wife. Yeah, and she was like, I was like, that's Tom Cruise. She's like, no, it's not. Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
Matthew McConaughey also was great in that too. When he shows up and he's got his TiVo and he throws it up and it blocks the rocket. Yeah, it's so good.
The best. All right, we got Scott from Voluntown. No relation to Carney USADA. He's on here. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Airplane. This is Spinal Tap. Blazing Saddles. Young Frankenstein. And I had a little discussion with him before this about showed him some lists to get some ideas. And he said, I'm surprised Spaceballs couldn't make the top 5, but I'm giving an honorable mention to Don't Be a Menace. Oh, he's going to give Spaceballs an honorable mention. But he also said he's going to go with Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood, which is also another good one under the radar I didn't think about.
Yeah, I didn't think about that one either. That's a good list, though.
Yeah, I like the scene, too, where they're, like, pulling out random guns, and then one guy's got, like, a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
Do we have a problem? So good. My buddy Zach St. John sent us a list. He's got Airplane as well, Naked Gun, Hot Shots, Spaceballs, and This Is the End. Is that a Mel Brooks film, you know?
No, This Is the End is a movie with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, I think. No, that's the End of the World one. This Is the End is the one. It's like a Seth Rogen movie.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Michael Cera is great in that one.
Don't they play themselves in a lot of the parts?
Yeah,
too?
They're playing themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah,
I like the concept. All right, we got my man Cran. He's not just bringing combat; he's bringing comedy this week. He's got Spaceballs, Blazing Saddles, Shaun of the Dead, Scary Movie 3, and Hot Fuzz. So he's a big fan of those Simon Pegg films. I feel like they made 2 of them there. Yeah,
it's a good list. Yeah. Nothing super weird from Cran. Interesting.
Yeah. You would think that he would have most definitely had something strange. We got Randy Osga. He's got The Naked Gun as well. Spaceballs, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and Airplane. So Leslie Nielsen's got a lot of votes here for Airplane.
Yeah. That's his genre for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say I thought Naked Gun would be. I mean, I know they were, but I thought. But then I'm looking at my next list here, Michael Caldwell, and he's got Scary Movie, Naked Gun, 33 and a third, which I forgot that was the sequel.
Yep.
Not Another Teen Movie. I forgot about that one.
Yep.
Spaceballs and Men in Tights also makes this list.
Hearing a lot of Spaceballs.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to have to be our finals already there. Pizza the Hut. I have Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Blazing Saddles, Scary Movie, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and like Rob, I also had Austin Powers. I was just really a fan of that genre at the time. I really just loved the whole kind of making fun of the James Bond genre films, which I love, but it was just really good stuff. So, what do you got for a list here?
All right, I have Young Frankenstein, Monty Python and the Holy Grail, Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. So those ones were tough to distinguish because I'm a huge fan of both of them. Spaceballs, and then I have an honorable mention of Dracula Dead and Loving It, another Leslie Nielsen movie.
Dracula Dead and Loving It. How many parody movies has Leslie Nielsen done? Let's just kind of top of my head, like Naked Gun. There's 2 of them.
Yep.
Airplane. There was 2 of those too, right?
At least, yep.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And then the Dracula movie you just mentioned. So that's 5 parody movies right there. Wow. Talking about a guy who really just had that genre down.
Yeah.
Man, there's a lot of lists here. A lot of people that gave us the same movies. I feel like Spaceballs was one we definitely have to put on there.
Blazing Saddles.
Blazing Saddles. I have no problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I don't know. Do we want to give it to Monty Python? I feel like that movie came up a lot because the Leslie Nielsen films came a lot, but they almost kind of like everybody had a different Leslie Nielsen film almost.
I'd say either that or Airplane was talked about a lot too.
It was.
A lot of lists, so
yeah.
I'm okay with Monty Python.
Monty Python, Holy Grail. That's a movie they played for me in school. I don't know why, but they did.
School was different back then.
Yeah, it was. So we got Monty Python, Holy Grail, Spaceball, and Blazing Saddles. Man, talk about a tough list to kick out. I really love Blazing Saddles. Like my buddy Rob, who you've had not the best interaction with before. Maybe this will put a little positive light on him. This is a little joke he would do. Yeah, now this is obviously he was going back to school, like he's in college. This is like the early 2000s. So I remember he was telling me a story. He had like this really big laptop, and he had like in a big case, and so that was like his own desk, and he was like just a few people around him. And he'd always do this. I love to see. I don't know why, but he'd tell me about it. And I know if you know Rob, you know he would do this. He would always take out the laptop, and he'd always go, "Excuse me while I whip this out." All right, that's excellent. At that point, I knew me and him would be friends. That's a great movie. And I don't know. Who do you want to boot off first? Maybe you want to boot off Blazing Saddles. Those are all great movies. So.
That's very hard. I'm going to say we keep both the Mel Brooks movies in.
Okay.
We give Monty Python the boot as hard as it is.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely don't have a problem with that. Actually, it's funny. I was talking to Rob's wife the other day, and she was saying something about how she loves English comedies too, and they're big. But I think in this case, as great as they are, like you think Mel Brooks, this is like Mel, again, we're talking about Leslie Nielsen being a great actor for this. Like Mel Brooks, like, you know, as far as a guy who like wrote these scripts and stuff like that, like he had this genre.
Directed them and starred in them. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he definitely was the man for this genre. I'm gonna say, oh man, you can go either way. I like Blazing Saddles. I know you might be a Spaceball. A lot of people are a Spaceballs guy, but I'm a Blazing Saddles guy. Again, totally inappropriate movie, folks. I'm not telling you that, but it's just I think the chemistry. I'm blanking out on the main actor's name. Was it Cleavon Little?Maybe.
I'm awful with the actor names.
Let's see. I'm gonna look this up real quick because it was his chemistry with oh God, fuck. Willy Wonka. Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder, yes.
Yeah. Cleavon Little was his name. Yeah. But his chemistry with just everybody in this film, like he's just great. He is he was tremendous in this. And yeah, him and Gene Wilder and this Mongo punching out the horse. So,
yeah.
All good stuff. So, all right. So we're going to go with Blazing Saddles. That's going to be our pick. Chevy, I don't know, man. What do you think? You kind of first time in the comments. Do you have any lists you'd like to see us do? Maybe we haven't done yet?
I don't know. Comedy lists?
Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head, but there's, it's a wide genre of things, so I'm sure we can figure next thing out. Shouldn't be too hard. Yeah,
I almost think we could almost do just something off of this list. Like we could do like top 5, Leslie Nielsen films or something.
Yeah.
He's got a list. But I think that's going to do it for this week, folks. Those are your top 5 parody spoof films. We like Blazing Saddles. Tell us why we got it wrong or why we got it right. We're out.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar. Told you that I go Fans, welcome back for the rest of the Working Fans podcast. And this week, I have not yet edited the Comedycast 531. So, Dave, why don't you tell me real quick why you chose parody movies this week? And what do you consider a parody movie? Because I was putting down my own list, and I'm like, wow, I wonder if any of these maybe even got considered.
So I don't know if he's going to remember this, but actually, Scott from Voluntown had mentioned me some list a while back, and this was one of the things he was interested in doing. So that's where I pulled this from. It's funny too. Chevy was a big fan of parody movies, and there was some movies there I liked. But I gotta be honest, I'm not a huge parody movie. I guess maybe because when I think about it, all right, Naked Gun, Airplane, right? Some of those movies, they're fine. But there was nothing I'm not a big slapstick guy, I guess. And I think that's what most of these movies are. However, I was a big fan of Blazing Saddles. I thought that
I was going to bring it up.
Yeah, which was the winner, by the way. I guess we can say that now before this is going to end. We picked Blaze Up. But I mean, also Spaceballs, that's another good one, right? But then it's funny. You asked, what's a parody? Because I noticed, another friend of mine picked Austin Powers. And I was I didn't think about that, but it was parody.
No shit, you froze up there.
I believe what I was saying was it was parody / spoof movie, and so I mean Austin Powers would be a spoof off of all your spy movies, right? And
see, but is a parody not a spoof?
I guess it is, right? I mean, because
well, here I'll give you my list, and then I'll kind of give you my thought behind what I was thinking.
Yeah, a parody / spoof movie is the same thing, basically, though. But go ahead. Yeah.
So I had Spaceballs,
yep.
Blazing Saddles, This Is Spinal Tap, Run, Ronnie Run, and A Mighty Wind. And then I had to throw the Jake rule into effect. I had to do a couple honorable mentions. I did Young Frankenstein and Not Another Teen Movie. And when I hit Not Another Teen Movie, that's where I was thinking, what is a parody? Because Spaceballs directly parodied Star Wars. Blazing Saddles was just a comedy take on the West. So that I was that's got to be in there because when I was writing down subjects, one of my things was Mel Brooks movies because I think he did some of the best parody / spoof movies.
I think he owned it, really. He's the guy I think of when I think of people that are involved in parody / spoof movies, Mel Brooks.
So you've never seen the Christopher Guest spoof movies? Anything like A Mighty Wind, Best in Show? He used a lot of SCTV people, a lot of good actors like Eugene Levy will be in a lot of his stuff, Catherine O'Hara.
I know what Best in Show is, but I've never seen it.
Okay, so when I think spoof, when I think spoof parody, I think Mel Brooks, Christopher Guest. Those were the two big name actors that came up for me.
Would Austin Powers be in there?
Austin Powers, sure. I had the Austin Powers franchise on my list here, as well as the Scary Movie franchise.
Sure.
Things like Get Hard that Will Ferrell produced. Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck movie are you talking about, bro?
There was that Kung Pao movie from a few years ago that parodied the Kung Fu movie.
Man, I'm surprised my boy Rob didn't have that on his list. He must have slipped his mind. He fucking loves Kung Pao, too.
Well, see, when you think parodies, certain things are going to jump to mind, and some people might question, what exactly is a parody? They might go for the Naked Gun, I'm trying to think, maybe Spaceballs, something that directly parodies something. Yeah, Austin Powers, I would argue, parodies 007.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. Spy movies in general.
Yeah.
And when you think of spy movies, what do you think of? James Bond, right?
James Bond.
But what was that?
James Bond, the most famous. And he has, in fact, also been spoofed in the original Casino Royale. It had a little Woody Allen, a little, can't think of the dude. If we had AJ here right now, he'd be spitting out all those old actors' names.
Oh, yeah, he'd love it, man. He'd be hard as fuck.
He's yelling at his phone 6 months down the line when he discovers this episode.
He'd be like, call the boner police. Anyway, I mean, you can use that line. So, yeah, you know what's funny, too, is I guess, but it's funny, right? Because, like, all right, so Airplane, Naked Gun, and I would say movies like Hot Shots, and even to a certain extent, Not Another Teen, maybe some scary movie too. But there's slapstick a lot too, right? A lot of these parody movies.
There's some slapstick in there, but
like those movies I mentioned, I think slapstick. A lot of it.
All right. I mean, I think just like stupid gags a lot of the time. There's a degree of slapstick in there, but God, I haven't heard slapstick applied to something since like vaudeville.
Bringing it back, baby. Shout out to AJ. He would appreciate the reference. Some Jerry Lewis. Lady. Right?
Yeah, see, like I would think about that with slapstick. I don't watch a ton of parody movies. Like, I mean, outside of like the Mel Brooks films, I could watch those over and over. Spinal Tap, I've watched time and time again. Run, Ronnie, Run was an early parody of reality TV, especially cops, and done through the lens of Bob Odenkirk and Dave from Mr. Show.
Interesting.
Oh, it's a hilarious movie.
I almost want to look this up while we're talking here real quick. Run, Ronnie, Run, huh? That sounds like very familiar to me. When did that come out? Do you know?
That is a good question. I would say mid-2000s, early 2000s.
Okay. So this is what I was thinking. Is this guy a character in one of the Red Hot Chili Pepper videos?
That's a good question. Maybe David Cross is an actor, so I could see him appearing in one. But I mean, that's just him in a wig and looking all silly. But it is a good movie, and it was like I loved the parody that it had on that reality TV, almost TV salesman culture, where they find something they can exploit for a show, and then they make all the money out of it they can.
Forgive me for distracted for a minute. I thought I was getting a business call. It turns out it was bullshit. So, so for the people who are watching this, that's why my eyes. I saw the area code of one of my stores that I live at. I'm like, what the fuck do they want? I'm trying to do comedy here, bitch. Don't get me sad.
Now, give me a quick rundown. What kind of parody movies did Chevy enjoy?
Oh, Chevy, my man. He was the big Blazing Saddles guy. He was a big Spaceball guy. Trying to remember like some of the other ones he liked. You know, we did this obviously earlier in the week, and my mind ain't shit now. But I mean, I'll tell you some movies that stuck out to me a little bit too. Was like Scott from Voluntown. He might have been the only one with this, but I thought it was a great one. It was Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. And,
that was an awesome one. That came out right around the time In Living Color, the Wayans brothers were blowing up. And yeah, when that came out, I was like, oh shit, I'll watch this.
Yeah. You know, we thought too more people were going to have Monty Python and the Holy Grail, you know, but.
See, I would have included it. I didn't even put it on my list of topics here because, well, it is a parody of the King Arthur thing. I should have thought of that. See, I think when you say parody movie, sometimes, I don't know, I find sometimes even with our 531s, they're like, what do they mean when they ask that? And like, parody movies should be pretty straight up, but like Monty Python, that, I'm kind of a little sad I don't have it on there. I'm trying to come up with a good excuse for why it could be looked over, but it's one of my all-time favorite movies. I've watched it countless amounts of times. I don't know how it's not on there.
Now, one of the people who wrote in this was Cran. He had Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead on his list. And what do you think about those movies there? Those,
that's the modern take on the parody.
Yeah.
Parody zombie movies. I think it works. I think it just depends where your comedy sensibilities are. Because like I own those movies, wouldn't have even thought of them as a parody movie.
By the way, we're doing this the day after I went to go see the movie Snake Eyes. So a review of that film, it sucked. Don't see it. Little sidebar.
Now, God, you threw me off my case. Now, Shaun of the Dead, I guess maybe with parody movies, are you thinking more a little about silliness rather than slapstick?
I mean, silliness and slapstick are the same thing. Well, they're not the
No,
same. So, hold on. Let me back up.
Like,
Slapstick's more of a physical comedy, but it's silly.
it is, but like some of the gags in some of these movies are silly. Like Blazing Saddles has plenty of
he punched out the horse. That's funny, though. I like that.
As opposed to like severely racist moments. But when you look at who had a hand in writing it, I think the jokes they make a lot more sense when you realize Richard Pryor had a part in that.
That's pretty cool. Whatever happened to Cleavon Little anyway? Does anyone know? I might have looked this up earlier to an episode, but
I no idea.
If he had died or not. Anyway,
R.I.P. Cleavon if you're done, man.
If you're done. If you're not done, shout out to you.
Come on, the working fans. We want to talk to you. Find out what you've been up to.
Marquis Post has passed away, by the way, from Night Court fame. Another sidebar. Has nothing to do with the show, but me and Scott.
I know. I was going to say, that's funny as fuck.
No. That's just fuck it. Let's throw some few random things out here. What about the fact I did an interview on the Wrestling Podcast a few weeks ago, and you took for an outtake in the cold open? I got a great story. 9/11, and then you cut it off instead of letting the guy talk.
That's what we call a cold open, because when you hear that in the beginning, you want to go, okay, what's this 9/11 story? And then, spoiler alert for nobody that's heard it, when it gets to the episode, he goes, he did that funny story, 9/11, 2013.
Right.
And like, I laughed my ass off when he said 2013. Or no, it was 2003, because I think it was 2 years later.
After, yeah.
And just the way he said it, I'm like, that is beautiful delivery.
And this week, Total Open will be Marquis Post passed away. Funny as fuck. Shout out.
You might have just given me an idea.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, Night Court was a show that a lot of us grew up on.
It had some slapstick. Segue. I wasn't really planning it, but it did have
you want to get this slapstick over. You're like, I'm going to get this through.
Yeah, man. Harry Anderson, I think that was his name. He had some good
comedian.
Yeah, he did some funny slapstick. Love that guy. Also, by the way, I just want to throw this out here. Like, we're added to the parody segment, which makes sense. But I did want to talk about the new Ghostbuster trailers that come out. And I know you didn't take the 2-3 minutes out of your day to watch it. So I just wanted to say we should check that out sometimes. People, that was funny. The movie, like the trailer was so good after the last debacle. And no offense, it wasn't because they were all women, but it was just awful. That I was like, I'll never want to see another Ghostbusters film again. But I saw this trailer. Looks fucking good. Made me want to see it.
Now, they've gone back to guys then, I take it?
It's more like there's some kids involved in this. Some are older, some are a little younger. And they're playing up to the old Ghostbusters, too. Like you see in the old commercials. And then you're hearing a phone call. And it looks like they might have been like, one of them might be the grandkids of like Egon or something. Not really sure what's going on. And,
they got some distinctive features?
Yeah. No, just there's a hint there. There's a phone call. Or, yeah, maybe. And then Paul Rudd's in this too, by the way. So I mean, I always love Paul Rudd and stuff. So I don't.
He does equal comedy gold a lot of the time.
It does, yeah. I would just check out the trailer. You tell me what you think when you get to it. You fuck.
Okay. So what are they trying now? They're trying to be referential to the first one, and I think like the farther you move away from those original ones, the harder a time people are gonna have getting into it for whatever reason. Like,
yeah,
for a lot of people, Ghostbusters is pretty sacred, and it's like changing up that formula. They're like, "Whoa, man, why are you making my Ghostbusters women?"
Yeah, I can see that. I didn't care about that, but the movie just didn't come out funny to me. It came off kind of like rushed, and I don't know.
I didn't watch it, but because it looked like more of a younger movie. Like it was made for kids.
Yeah.
What I liked about the original one is there was a definite degree of scariness to it. Like the ghost looked scary. They did some amazing effects. And like, to me, those first two set such a high bar. It's like, if I'm going to watch another Ghostbusters one, I'd like to see a modern take on that original, like, gritty scariness that they had to it.
Yeah, this one, I mean, it looks like they were moved to like some town or something, and you know, there's gonna be some ghosts and stuff happening under this vault kind of thing, similar, and you know, there's some like nerdy kids who have trouble getting along, and they're like all coming together. But then, like I said, you're seeing hints of the past and everything. It just looks, I don't know, it looks like they got it right, but it's just a trailer, you know. You get there,
Yeah.
it could be the shits. You know? I don't know.
Now, I know you didn't watch the Face the Narrative, or Free the Narrative, whatever the EC3 cinematic match was. But Matt Cardona, when he made his entrance, part of his theme song was like referential to the Ghostbusters theme. And me and Scott went wild when we heard it. Like, we had to look it up, and it is on iTunes.
I like it. So
I think it's that nostalgia that Ghostbusters brings, that when you do it right, like maybe it's got to be the song, it's got to be the right visuals from the original. Yeah. I think that's what makes it. And the farther you get away from that is when people get upset with it.
I think we just gave these people enough here. All right, we gave them some more parody talk and a little Ghostbusters talk. Let's not spoil them, Joe. We might want to talk more Ghostbusters on a future episode.
Well, just leave me with this. Does the Ghostbusters trailer, will it make you buy a ticket?
Yes.
All right, well, I'll check out the trailer. And guys, check us out again next week. We'll see you later.